Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to start off 2025 on a more positive note. But due to recent events that happened over the last several days, I felt like I needed to make a video talking about the biggest problem currently facing DC. And contrary to what you may think, no, I'm not talking about WB, and no, I'm not even talking about James Gunn. It turns out that the DCU has turned into the MCU even faster than I predicted. And not necessarily from a quality standpoint. No, how the DCU is already similar to the MCU in the worst way possible has everything to do with the people who blindly and hypocritically support it more than it does the content itself. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Now, I've made it no secret over the past several years that I'm not exactly a big fan of James Gunn's brand of entertainment. I do think that it's an acquired taste, and I've just come to the conclusion that overall it's just not for me. And this has been the case long before he was the head of DC on film. On more than one occasion, I've already criticized many creative decisions, as well as some contradictory statements that James Gunn himself has made. But I've also said multiple times that I'm open-minded enough that I'm willing to give him a chance to change my mind. Even going as far as to praise the new Superman poster, as well as the reworked John Williams score, even if I did feel like it was a bit out of place being used for this film. If you recall, I also said that the Superman trailer was fine, that it didn't really move me one way or another, and I said all of this when I could have very easily all over it just like a lot of other people were doing.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Because he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one it needs right now.
What I did criticize about the trailer was some of the reactions to it, which to me came off as very hypocritical when you consider some of the gripes they had prior to this. And you know what? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I just gave these individuals too much credit. Because it's become very clear to me over the past several weeks that most of these people, not all of them, are not interested in having a genuine conversation. And to be quite honest, it seems like they have an all-or-nothing attitude when it comes to their new DC. Which brings me to those MCU fan comparisons that I alluded to at the beginning of this video. And who knows, these might actually be those same people just following James Gunn over from Marvel.
Makes perfect sense.
But I want to take you back to 2015, which was another eye-opening moment in time for me when it comes to discussing film. That was the year a little movie called Avengers Age of Ultron came out. And I can't stress this enough, I was emphatically pro-MCU prior to this movie. But upon seeing Age of Ultron for myself, I remember leaving the theater feeling very unfulfilled. Even going as far as to asking some of the people that I went to watch the movie with if they thought that movie sucked just as much as I did. Now, I know that there are some people out there who probably love Age of Ultron, and I'm in no way trying to push my beliefs on those people by saying this. But to me, there was a lot to be criticized with that movie from a pure filmmaking perspective. The only problem was, when I expressed those valid criticisms online, I was immediately met with a mob of angry MCU fans going on the defensive. Calling me a hater, calling me toxic, acting as if a Joss Whedon of all people led Avengers sequel is somehow above criticism. For those that don't know, it was those interactions that made me start looking at the MCU as a whole differently. That is where my natural inclination to be highly critical of the MCU came from. If the things that I say are upsetting some people, to me that means that I'm doing something right. Fast forward to 2025, and we now have the same kind of fan inhabiting the DC fandom. And to be very clear, this isn't strictly about the DCU or the James Gunn fandom specifically. I was actually verbally attacked by a Zack Snyder fan just the other day because I said that The Batman was a good movie.
Holy God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on! Open your eyes!
So I do recognize that there is toxicity at every level. It just so happens that a majority of that toxicity seems to come from the James Gunn side of things. It's to the point where you can't say anything that even resembles criticism of the DCU without a horde of individuals showing up to attack you and trying to dismiss your opinion with labels and insults. So over the weekend, we had the Jason Momoa being cast as Lobo news, and being the type of person that I am, of course I made a post about it on social media. And the reaction to that post was somehow both predictable and a bit of an eye-opener. It really beat home the idea that the DC fandom overall is broken or even completely lost at this point. My post actually said, "More fan casting bullshit, hashtag Supergirl." That was it. Now, could I have worded that a little bit differently, maybe taken out the bullshit and made it sound a bit less aggressive? Sure. But at the end of the day, I believe that it is more fan casting bullshit.
Nobody likes a smartass, alright?
And it's the kind of uninspired creative decision that I've come to expect from Warner Brothers as an entity. And that's the thing, my post was about the powers that be seemingly letting Twitter, of all places, cast their film for them. Presumably because they are desperately seeking positive buzz. At the end of the day, that opinion that I shared wasn't hurting anyone. I wasn't attacking anyone who actually liked the casting. And either way, another person's opinion should not impact any of you to this level if you are in fact confident in your own opinions. But of course, this jab at Warner Brothers and DC Studios was taken personally by people online for some reason.
Like, back up! Back up! Mind your business, that's all. Mind your business.
Some of them even started to spin the narrative that I now hate Jason Momoa, and how this is not a fan casting because Jason himself has wanted to play this role for many years. You see, never once did I criticize Jason Momoa personally, but everyone still jumped to that conclusion. If Jason finally has his dream role, and he is happy with that role, then I'm happy for him. But Jason having his dream role doesn't make that creative decision above criticism, especially from a studio level. I also find it interesting that the same people who were using the dream role deflection point had no issue with Henry Cavill being cast aside when he was welcomed back to his dream role as Superman. It's another example of the hypocrisy that plagues this fandom. But this post did cause quite a stir. I even had some smaller channels than my own trying to pile on as a way of gaining subscribers and followers, I guess. Channels that I've actually had conversations with in the past and was respectful to their perspective. But the moment they saw the opportunity to throw me under the bus, they took it.
You're pathetically predictable.
The same channels that tried to invite me on their channel to have a conversation. But we all know that these people are not interested in having legit conversations. They want to publicly portray themselves as being virtuous and morally superior while simultaneously carrying themselves like the very same people that they claim to hate. I even had people who have followed my channel for years trying to pile on after this post, acting as if they suddenly don't know who I am or what I'm about, apparently, simply because I chose to criticize something that they themselves are excited about. And that's the thing about doing what I do here. Sooner or later, I'm probably going to get to something that you like. The question is, do you have enough maturity to see past that and just accept my opinion as a different perspective? With most of the Gunn fans, the answer is no, and they would rather label you a cultist and try to bury you.
S-O-F capital T. Soft. Huh?
And while I'm on the subject, that's a go-to deflection point for these people as well. Almost always, I have someone bringing up Zack Snyder to me anytime I criticize the DCU. Can someone who watches me all the time actually tell me the last time I mentioned Zack Snyder's name, especially in reference to DC? When's the last time I mentioned him at all outside of giving his last 3 movies negative reviews? I didn't want to believe it before, but I'm actually starting to believe that Snyder derangement syndrome is a very real thing. Because these people bring him up as if they think about him all day long. I even had people, in response to me criticizing the Momoa casting, say that, well, I don't see you criticizing Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom like this. who wants to tell them? You know, for a group of people who claim to know exactly what I'm about, apparently you don't know shit. And that's the thing. Everyone is looking for their gotcha moment instead of actually listening to what I have to say and trying to understand where my criticisms are coming from. And that's why you are literally wasting your time trying to argue with these people. They are far beyond the point of being rational human beings that you can actually have a real conversation with. If you want to know why I stopped talking about DC for a while earlier this year, it's because of bull like this. So where does that leave us now? Well, I'm not going to stop talking about DC again, because based on the views that those videos get, it seems like people enjoy hearing me talk about it. But I'm also not going to make talking about DC my entire identity. There's other things that I'm much more passionate about in the world of entertainment. It just so happens that the trolls don't show up for those videos because it goes against their narrative.
It's true.
So here's my New Year's resolution for 2025. I might still make some videos here and there about these toxic assholes, but as far as directly interacting with them, that is getting left in 2024. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy, and I have much better things to do with both. So the new policy for trolls is block and move on. Or even delete and move on. Basically, do not give them the attention that they desperately crave. At the end of the day, I don't have anything to prove to these people. The only people who I really care about their opinion of me is the people who watch me, who support me every single video. I even care about the people who disagree with me, but do so in a respectful manner. You know, like a normal human being. As far as everyone else goes, they can continue to yell into the void until they are blue in the face. But I'll be right here where I've always been, being honest, sometimes brutally so.
Y'all be cool. Right on.